Welcome to another episode of ECTV's Roundtable Discussions. I'm your host, Travis Prince, and today our guest is Jenny Matthews. Jenny, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Travis.
Well, thanks for coming to talk to me. The first thing I want to do is have you introduce yourself to our guests and give a little bit of your background in art education and things like that.
Absolutely. My name is Jenny. My students like to call me Miss Jenny because I just think that it's a little bit more special than the formal version. So along with teaching, it will be my 13th year of teaching art.
Wow.
Absolutely love it. It's the best job in the whole wide world. But right now I'm kind of a full-time artist because it's summer break, and I'm really working on my own talents right now, and had to alter some things because usually I'm out performing and doing art in front of people and at concerts and at shows and at festivals. But right now, you know, I'm kind of doing my own thing, which is nice.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. So are you local to the area? Are you originally from PA in the Scranton area?
I'm from Milford, Pennsylvania, so it's probably about an hour from here. But I actually lived in Florida for about 4 years, and I got my undergraduate there, and then came back up north and got my master's in art education at Marywood, and got the job at Scranton School District 13 now 12 years ago, and I was ecstatic. It was great.
That's amazing. Art educator in the Scranton School District for 12, almost 13 years.
Yep.
What made you decide to take this career path? Did you know you wanted to be an art teacher like early on in life, or was this something that you figured out while you were in college or something?
Yeah, originally I started out as a musician, so I contemplated the idea of being a music teacher, but then I had to learn the piano and I didn't know how to do it, and I was getting really frustrated. But actually originally I was an accounting major, and I found myself drawing a lot, and I kind of didn't fit in. I was like, I have to do something different with my life, so I decided to be an art teacher because I always liked to draw and paint.
Wow, going from accounting and numbers to drawing and painting and coloring. But you also said you do performance arts and you're a singer, so you're just this all-around like creative person in very different fields. Like, that's amazing. I like to see people who can express their creativity, you know, through different mediums, art, photography, music, singing, songwriting, poetry. And so a few questions for you. What does your work aim to say?
Ooh, I like that question, Travis. Well, I think if we look at my collection a little bit, and if I were to like really just hone in on what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to convey, I'm trying to just capture the beauty of nature. I'm trying to capture color and amplify it. I want to take just an original being, like anything, like in my picture, like a chameleon, a butterfly, a dragonfly, anything, and just kind of push it to a next level and see where I can go with that, and see how I can manipulate the colors, and see how I can even make them look just completely intergalactic.
So you seek to like exacerbate or kind of expound on the natural aspects of what you're catching in nature. That's interesting. Now, this is a question that I ask almost all of my guests here. Who are some of your biggest influences as far as visual arts go?
Oh, awesome. I really, one of my favorite artists to talk about with my students is actually African-American artist Jean-Michel Basquiat. He's my absolute favorite artist, and unfortunately he passed away very young, as many artists do. And I discuss that with the kids. I put on the board, I'm like, why do artists need to take care of their bodies? And we start talking about that, and some of the stuff that they say is so profound, you know, and we get into that. But also another artist that inspires me, I'm gonna say, I really like Georgia O'Keeffe. I love her flowers, and probably Frida Kahlo. I enjoy her a lot too, just because she led such a unique life, and you can see it in her art. Like, her art just like cries what she went through.
Yeah, it took me a while to actually understand Frida and Basquiat. I was introduced to Basquiat in middle school by my art teacher.
Yeah.
And I did not understand it, did not grasp it at that time.
Yeah.
But later on in life, looking at his stuff, it's very deep and tragic in a way.
Yeah.
But very, it's, I don't want to say like rebellious.
Playful almost.
Yeah,
though. Like that's kind of what
like
I went.
a playful rebellion against society in a way, and what was going on back then in the 80s. So you have some really good influences. I love all the artists that you named.
Oh, know what else influenced me? I'm going to jump in. It's funny, the movie Avatar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like I went to see it, and the 3D version of it, and just when they went into the land of Pandora, I'm like, oh, I want to draw that, I want to draw that, I want to paint that, I want to paint that. So I ended up seeing it like 7 times in the movie theater by myself.
That was a pretty awesome movie. We're getting part 2 soon,
yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah,
I can't
and the
wait.
whole concept of that movie too is just like it's really deep on, somebody who's so technological trying to reap whatever they can from nature without respecting nature or the quality of nature, and it has very deep messages and throughout that meaning.
You need to obey nature. Nature can be beautiful, nature can be vicious, and that is something that I do like to capture because I mean, the brighter something is, usually the more dangerous it is. So there is a dangerous aspect to my pieces as well, Travis. Like, yeah, you could say it's all light and fluffy, like tee hee hee hee, but it's really not. A lot of my animals are poisonous, but the woman, the subject usually, which I do like to have a woman usually, she is just in sync with these creatures and they're not going to hurt her. But I think if anybody tried to hurt her, they would hurt them. That's where we're going with the Dragonfly Queen.
Almost like Jane and the Gorillas. What was her last name?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I just know her as Jane.
Yeah, one with the animals. Now this is a tough question I get asked myself a lot, and normally it's a very, very long answer for me to give.
Okay.
But when selling your art, how do you go about pricing?
That's a really good question. It's cool because like I'll get a lot, if I like put my stuff up on social media, somebody will like, respond, how much is it? Or what do you charge? Or if I'm doing a custom piece, how much do you charge? What are your prices? And it depends on so many factors. Honestly, the first thing I consider is the level of difficulty. Because, I mean, if I did a portrait of someone's mother, I mean, I don't know this person, so it's going to take me a while to get to know this person. I ask a lot of questions. But then I also go into time, of course. I don't charge hourly. I don't do that. Again, it's more level of difficulty. Materials, but also expertise. Because there's some things that like I'm really, really good at. Like I love painting dragonflies. I could paint dragonflies all day long. So a lot of people do dig the dragonflies and the moths and stuff. So I just kind of work it out with them. And if it's a friend, I mean, like I'm going to definitely hook them up. Even if they're not a friend and they're awesome, I'm like, okay, I'll hook you up. Don't worry. Yeah. I'm not going to be a jerk about it.
Yeah, and that's the thing with me too. Like pricing art is it's more or less. I want my art in someone's home. So I want someone to take care of my art.
Yes.
And now if you're willing to pay to take care of my art, I can be lenient.
Yeah, it's a good day. It's a good life when you're able to do that. I feel incredibly blessed because I've been doing, for the last couple of years, doing pretty well. And it feels really nice to have people appreciate it. That's all I really want. And when they look at my stuff, like my number one motive is not to sell. It's just for them to view it and to love it and to enjoy it.
Do you see the love for art changing in American culture? I feel like over the past few decades since the implementation of the internet, things have become, so everything is about tech, and not being creative and expressive and enjoying nature and things like that. But do you feel a sense of revitalization or renaissance towards the arts in art right now?
I do believe that's really cool that you said the word renaissance because that was actually something when we were talking about being multifaceted. I always tell my students to be renaissance people. Like, don't limit yourself to something. You're so young. Try everything. Try sport, try art, try music. And
how is the culture towards art changing?
Culture toward art, yes. I do believe that we are in somewhat of a renaissance because being old school and just painting, like getting out a pencil, getting out a pen, like that is something that I highly respect. And I think a lot of people are finding a new appreciation for it because people have had a minute to think, and it's been taken from them. You can't go out and do a First Friday gig anymore. So you really do need to seek out art, which is really nice. And you and I both, I mean, we're pretty old school. We actually paint, we actually draw. So it's wonderful to see people responding to that and appreciating it. It's really nice.
Yeah, I've been feeling the same thing recently too, that people are thinking about what's more important to them,
Yes.
what's more valuable to them, what would they rather invest their money into, and art is that thing that is coming up a lot more nowadays.
It's original, it's tactical, it's something that I think everybody needs more of in their life, regardless of who they are, what they believe, what their skill level is. People are like, I can't do art. You sure can.
You can.
You sure can.
What part of the process do you enjoy the most? Like the conceptualization process, the prep work, is it the actual construction of the piece, or the response from the viewers when the piece is complete? Or like what is your favorite part about the artistic process?
I love it all, but mostly I'm gonna say when I'm creating a piece, there's so many layers, as you know, when you create a piece, and I like to just lay it down, kind of section out where the figure is going to be, and I'm very improvisational with my work. I don't really plan much unless like somebody, like if it's a commission or something where somebody does have a very detailed plan of what they want. But when I'm just painting for myself or just something that like I just plan on putting in a gallery, I'm going to say my favorite part of the creating is when I get out my pen and start doing all the details, and then it all comes together. But my most favorite is when I get out the iridescence, like the shiny stuff, and like really make things pop, and like really, as you, I love the word you use, exacerbate just the magnificence of these creatures. Because this is a work in progress, to be honest. It's not fully done. The outlining is not finished, but I thought it was to a good point to share with everybody because she wanted to say hi, you know?
No, while we're talking about this, let's break this piece down a little bit more. So, once again, like you say, your love of nature comes through immediately with the vibrant greens, the deep blue sky, the clouds. You're obviously outside in the wilderness with all these different animals and insects around, and like you say, she's just so in tune.
Yeah, she's at peace.
Yeah, she is in her comfort zone.
With her bug in her hair.
Almost as if it's a jewelry or a decoration, like it's an earring, kind of.
It is, yeah. I was going to have it be an earring, but I think it's hanging from her hair. But these women, I mean, they've been living in the jungle for so long. I mean, I wanted that to be a porcupine quill. That's why I put a little white at the end. I love playing with those things, like when I adorn the woman, like she has a flower in her hair and stuff, but I had women with like, you know, like bug earrings, of course, and beads, and like even bones too. That's kind of fun. So I like to do that as well.
You know, I also see that you're applying heavy layers of texture with your paint.
Yes.
And I always find that interesting as well. Like it took me so long to actually get the courage to build up paint on a canvas where it's tangible to the eyes, where you can see that it's there. And I like how you've done that.
I love blobbing it on. Yeah, the trees are really, really fun because you just kind of take your paintbrush and, you know, roll it in the paint, and, like load it up and then just like roll it around. It's too much fun.
And so what medium is this? What type of paints are you using here?
Different kinds of acrylics. I have worked in oil for a while. Like when I was in grad school, I did a lot of oil. The reason I do acrylics now is because these pieces travel with me. They're like in my Subaru, and I bring them with me to festivals. I even just like set up on the side of like the road and kind of just paint. You know, you never know where she's gonna go. So it's very easy to like kind of throw her around. I use masonite panels as well, and they're the best to paint on. They're so smooth and they're fun to hang.
What is this? Because this isn't a canvas. Now, what you said, this is masonite?
Masonite panel, yep. You can get a huge one, like 3 times the size, and they'll cut it for you and everything. So they saw it in thirds, and then you have 3 huge canvases.
And why do you like painting on that?
It's smoother. I like the smooth surface. Again, I like to throw it around a lot. Canvases, I get irresponsible, and they start to get like holes in them and stuff. I'm not gonna lie. And you can leave this stuff outside, which is nice. If I'm at a show, I'll leave it overnight for people to just view it.
Oh, wow.
I'll hook up the black light, and that's a whole other effect that this gets.
Oh, so with the iridescence on there, it gives off that black light effect. I'm looking and I'm still finding like more little animals. I didn't recognize the 2 little parrots down here.
Parakeets.
This is a very, very interesting piece, and I love the fact that you focus on the feminine energy, the feminine power, and placing the woman at the forefront of your pieces. I've tried to do that a lot in my artwork. I realized that our society is so male-dominated, so masculine and misogynistic in so many ways that we take so much away from the woman and undermine her powers and abilities. And so seeing the woman in the forefront of art always pleases me, you know, in a dominant role, being the center of attention.
Some people think, they're like, oh, is that you? I'm like, it could be like a spin-off of how I feel, because I feel very in tune right now, and it feels really good, because I mean, I'm, you know, like, depending on how you feel is how your art's going to come out, you know, and it's very interesting, because when I feel very free and just the flow is just, when the flow goes, it's great. Like creating that hair, I was so in the flow. And it takes, like, I'm going to say at least 4 or 5 hours to get warmed up. And that's the thing I think I do like to bring to people's attention, because with painting, people just think, oh, you can paint, it'll just come out of midair. No, it doesn't. It requires so much thought. It requires so much love, too. And I wouldn't even say I personally plan things, but it definitely takes about 4 hours to get warmed up, and then it does flow through the brush like it's like an appendage or something. Yeah. You can feel it, that you and the brush are one, and that's what I try to achieve, definitely, when doing these pieces.
Well, let's talk about some other art.
Certainly.
So, what's the title of this piece?
I didn't title her. Her name on social media is Lavender Lunatic, so I probably play off of that. Even like Lily Queen, I was thinking, because there's the the lily pads. So maybe I'll just name her right now Lily Queen. Sound good?
That sounds good.
I'm so weird when I name my pieces. I just kind of pull it out of midair, and the names definitely change, but that's okay.
Do you ever get one to stick in the end, or?
Definitely. Yeah. I've like written them on the back and everything, and then they kind of just like they take on that persona, which is nice. It just takes time, you know.
I've done that as well. I've had a few pieces that went through a couple different names before I decided, like, okay, this is the final name.
Oh yeah, it took me a year to name my cat. I have this black Persian cat. It took me a year. His name's Nitro. And yeah, I went through like 7 different names. I'm like, that's not you, that's not you. And then one day I had Nitro Coffee, and I'm like, oh my God, that's you.
That's so nice. Well, this one right here, I see there's a lot of like luminescence to it, and it has this real like deep glow. How did you get that effect on there?
Lots of layers. So what I did was I just blocked out the form, did the underpainting, figure out where things go. And to do the water, and especially I love to like make the water look transparent, as if, the koi fish is in the water realistically. What I do is I'll grab a dryer brush and I'll load it up with the iridescent paint and just kind of brush it on top, so you can still see the opaque qualities of the creature, of the fish, of the whatever. So yeah, this is a lot of layers. I use a lot of different things, pen and ink, pencil, neon colors. I also use, it's fun, metallic pigment. Just like, it kind of looks like eyeshadow a little bit. I've actually used eyeshadow in my pieces. Oh, wow. It works really well. And then just get like an acrylic gloss and seal it in. That's a really fun technique to do.
Oh, wow. And I'm liking your pen work, and I noticed that's one of your main techniques that you use to like finish off your pieces, is you come in with these really free and bold pen lines that just like really stand out, and they're really striking, especially on the lily pads. I just like how that motion really flows.
You can
throughout
feel
the
it,
leaf.
like just like the dragging of the pen.
Exactly.
And I always listen to music for the most part when I paint, and I let that music like fuel what I'm doing. And yeah, I was definitely feeling it when I was doing the lily pads. You're right.
And I can see once again like that nature influence of all the flowers in here, the koi fish, her just being submerged in water. And are these some crystals?
Yes, they are. I love painting crystals. I actually teach my 5th graders how to paint crystals, and they do very well. But yeah, it is a really good time, especially again with the iridescence. But I also like to put things behind the crystals to even show that quality. See how these flower petals are just peeking through? I'm really into like translucence and showing like multiple layers, like with bubbles. Bubbles are really fun for me too. They're a good time because there's always something behind it. And I do like to like really like show those layers.
And so that's where you say when certain parts of it becomes time consuming to get those small details in there, like that, the translucentness and the opaque qualities of different materials like the water and the crystals. And it comes out really nice.
Thank you. Oh, coming from you, thank you, because your work's beautiful.
Let's look at some more of your stuff.
Sure. All right. So, oh yeah, I think it goes like that. That works. It can be in a diamond too. It kind of can go wherever we want. Okay, there she is. Bunch of moths.
Wow. And you said that this is currently a work in progress?
Yes, and I have another panel that I'm going to be doing something pretty similar. I'd like to have it be a duo and work well together. I'm thinking about framing it. We'll see how it goes. But yep, work in progress. Just laid down some flowers, and I did these little blobs right here. Do you want to guess what they are? What do you think?
They're bunnies.
They're bunnies. They are. Oh, good. Good. I don't know what this one's doing.
He's a hungry bunny. Like he has some carrots.
Yeah, he has some carrots. I'm so happy you knew they were bunnies.
Well, it looks really good. If you had to estimate, like, how far along are you in this piece?
Oh, good question. I'm going to say about 50%.
About halfway done.
Yeah, I started it by a river. I really do like to paint outside. I have a very good friend. Her name is Kelsey, and her and I actually performance paint together. And throughout the summer, we've been meeting up a lot and going on hikes and painting in the woods.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was really cool. But got to be careful of the elements. I almost got bit by a snake.
Wow.
Yeah, we were walking up this mountain in McAdoo, I think it was, and I felt something against my foot, and I turned around, and it was a snake. It was like in like a pile of snake with its head sticking up with the little side thingamabobbers. Yeah, so it was a close one. I really don't want to go that way.
Yeah, that's a full contact painting. Never.
Yeah, seriously. I'm like, man, I saw a snake when I was doing this. I should paint them in there.
You should, add that element into your art as well.
Yeah.
But these moths are beautiful, and the really giant Luna moth is one of my favorites. I actually did like a bug collection several years ago, but then it's like, why do you kill them? Just let them live and enjoy the beauty of them while they're alive. So I don't do bug collecting anymore, but the moths were some of my favorite creatures.
They're so much fun. Like I love butterflies, but I love moths even more.
It is something about moths, and they're nocturnal. They like the light and come around the flames and stuff like that. And I don't know. I think I am more drawn to moths than butterflies. And once again, just your how you infuse the nature is always the flowers and the insects and the wilderness, and it's very, very like calming and soothing.
Thank you.
Looking at your pieces is behind this dragonfly. What is this pretty little thing? It looks almost like a dandelion, but not really.
Yeah, it's one of those little pink puffy flowers. I don't even know what they're called. I just see things like if I go on a walk and I'm like, ooh, I want to put that in my painting. But that's been a new one for me. I painted some hydrangeas for one of my friends, and I think after doing that, I was so used to that motion of doing those little tiny flowers within the flower that I just kind of I couldn't stop myself. So yeah, I got 2 of them going. Yeah. So puffy pink flowers, that's what I'm calling them.
This is a beautiful piece. I can't wait to see it when it's fully done and complete, and how much more life you're going to put into this piece right here.
Thanks, Travis.
Let's see some more.
Sure. Okay, so we'll put him down there. Okay, I have this pretty little lady. She's fun.
Wow. So, right off the bat, the first thing I notice is, are these dragons in here?
This is based off of a photo. This is my friend Kat, who's another amazing artist. You'd love her. We do, I like to do challenges with other artists. We send each other a portrait, and we did a portrait of each other.
Oh, wow.
I wish I had the one that oh my gosh, she did such a good job. But in her portrait, she had a snake around her neck, just like a traditional, like run-of-the-mill, whatever snake you want it to be. And I started doing it, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this be a two-headed snake. So yeah, it's a two-headed snake. I forget, oh gosh, what is it called? I don't think I wrote it on the back. I might actually have it written on the back.
But once again, I like how you take that natural element and then like expand on it and exaggerate it a little bit more to make it into like this newer creature.
Thank you. Yeah, she was definitely really fun. She had those earrings and she wanted some dragonflies, and she said she wanted foliage. So I gave her some foliage, kind of some fiddlehead ferns and dragonflies.
Well, it's really pretty. I noticed too, like with your backgrounds, the looseness and the free sense, the freeness that you have with the colors that you use for like the foundation layers of your pieces, and you still allow that to come through even, after you apply like the main focus point and the top finish layers, but still have that really like rich motion with your backgrounds.
I love blobbing it on in the background. That's usually how, like, it's cool that you mentioned that, because that is how I usually start all of my pieces, just to get warmed up. Like I'll throw, like I kind of just improvise, and I'll just grab 3 or 4 paints out of my bag or whatever I have and kind of just go with that, you know, and then just lay it down. And then you start to hone in on like blocking out where you want things, like, oh, I want a leaf over here. Oh, I want a flower over here. And then it just develops magically. It's really fun. And then like on the figure, you're kind of focusing on the smaller details, and then everything else just kind of comes together.
I really like that element. I actually paint in layers as well, but by the time I'm finished my process, you don't see the first layers.
No.
And by seeing that early first layers, that warm up portion of it, that initial spark of inspiration that's coming towards the rest of it.
I'm conjuring something.
and that's how I really like that. It took me to this piece to see that is a common theme throughout your works. And I really enjoy that. It gives it this richer sensation, almost as if I were there with you in the beginning phases of the piece. Yeah,
it's still very evident. You're right. Yeah, I never even thought about it that way, because I just kind of do it. It's funny when you're an artist and you just like do what you do, and it takes another artist or a friend or somebody to point out like what they're noticing, because there's a million versions of this painting if you really think about it, because like whoever sees it is going to interpret it so many ways, and certain things are going to resonate with them. And I do love when people just want to sit and just look at the art, and I love looking at other people's art and talking to them about it. Like, I want to be a lifelong learner, and there's so much to learn from each other.
Always, always so much to learn.
Yeah.
Well, I've learned a lot from you and your art today, and I really appreciate you coming to the studio and sitting down and having a conversation with me.
I had a blast, Travis. Thank you. I was looking forward to this. This is great.
This has been another episode of ECTV's Roundtable Discussions. I've been your host, Travis Prince, and our guest for today was Jenny Matthews. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys next time.